Welcome to the Pursuing Freedom Outdoors podcast, a place where backcountry warriors can share their stories of grit, service, healing, and wilderness adventures. I'm your host, Tom Walton, Marine Corps veteran, full-time cop, and aspiring hunting and fishing guide. Join me and others as we journey from the hood to the woods in pursuit of freedom in the outdoors. All right. Welcome to the Pursuing Freedom Outdoors podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tom Walton, and today I am joined by the Gunter men, Austin, Peyton, and their dad, Chris. I work with Chris, and we don't have to get too much into all of what we do for work because the main focus is the fact that these young men joined me at the Protectors Peak Youth Turkey Camp. And this was a turkey camp or turkey hunt. It was a pretty luxurious camp because we stayed in a big fancy lodge, but they're at the Protectors Peak property in Calder, Idaho. But we did a youth turkey hunt for first responders kids. And so Chris, being the fact that he's a first responder, brought his and a veteran. So Chris, thanks for your service, dude. We'll get into that a little bit too. And then and he brought his boys out, Austin and Peyton. And we had a absolute great time hunting turkeys together. And so everybody got assigned a mentor to take them turkey hunting. And I had the distinct pleasure of taking my buddies here out for turkey hunting for the 3 days we were there. So that was really, really, really cool. So welcome to the show, boys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Chris, what's up, man?
What's going on, buddy? Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, man. No, this is really cool. I'm excited to have you guys on and talk about our experience there. And just real quick, we'll start with Dad. He can lead the way, but why don't you guys introduce yourselves real quick?
Hi, my name is Peyton, and this is my brother, Austin. Hi, I'm Austin. This is my dad.
Hi, I'm Chris. Kind of in the corner.
Chris, just a little bit real quick, man. You know, I do talk a lot about service on the show here. So just give us a quick rundown of your military background and a little bit of your first responder background, and then we'll dive into the boys.
Okay. I enlisted in the Navy in 1998. In 2000, I did my first deployment pre 9/11, and then I did my second deployment post 9/11, both to the Persian Gulf. Then I switched to a CB battalion. I was in the Navy, and then I switched to my to a CB battalion where I taught convoy or counter ambush tactics to convoy security element. I got out in 2006 after doing 8 years. I got out as a first class petty officer. In 2009, I went to the police academy, graduated January 2010.
Nice.
And
nice.
I was a police officer in California for 8 years, and then we decided to move up to Washington, where I'm going on 8 years with the sheriff's office.
Yeah, and then that's how you and I met, is we worked together up here in Washington, and it's been a blast working with you. You've been a heck of a good buddy. I got to meet your boys when we all kind of first landed up here, and we all went fishing, and that was a pretty cool trip that I think you guys remember pretty dang well, huh?
Oh yeah, that was a really fun trip.
Yeah. Did we catch fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
With marshmallows.
Yeah.
Yeah, with marshmallows. Yeah. Yeah, we went out to a local lake over here in Idaho and had some fun catching some fish. Prior to moving up here, Chris, have you had any, what's your hunting and fishing experience throughout your life?
Mostly when I was a kid. I grew up on the East Coast, so I fished in Lake George and then Lake Apacong and some other local lakes in New Jersey and upstate New York. Had to battle some water moccasins and stuff like that, but not a whole lot of fishing. And the only time I ever went hunting was for grouse, and I had my hunter's ed when I was a kid, but couldn't find it. I had to redo it when I moved up to Washington. No hunting in California, and just didn't start it to. I met friends up here that were into it.
Nice. And what kind of hunting have you done since you got up here?
So far, I've gone, well, obviously turkey hunting with the boys. Now I've gone, I guess you can call it elk hunting. I walked around with a rifle, but didn't see any elk. And then archery hunted deer, but was unsuccessful with that. So still on the prowl to get a big game, but so that's all. Nothing, no claim to fame yet.
Oh man, at least you're getting out though, right? That's what's important. And then what's really important is we got the boys out, and Austin and Peyton. Have you guys hunted? You guys hadn't hunted before this, right? No hunting before. turkey
Yeah.
camp. So let's just talk a little bit about what you guys are into first. You guys are huge into lacrosse too, right?
Oh
Mhm,
yeah.
All right. So Austin, tell me about lacrosse, man. What do you guys tell me about your team and what you guys are up to?
Well, right now we've been invited out to two teams. One of them ISC, called ISC, and then the other one Apex. Those are all up in like Maryland and Virginia Beach. We got invited to go there. That's going great. And then right now our team's doing pretty good. We didn't go to this last tournament. It was a very, very small tournament. My team didn't do good in that, but in Sandpoint, that was a really good tournament. But I mostly dedicated my whole life to lacrosse. It's like ever since I started in second grade, it's like it's been a part of me my whole life, and Peyton's life too. It's such a good sport to be with because you get to learn the culture and the nature around it.
Nice. What about you, Peyton?
Yeah, it's my favorite sport in the entire world. I've been playing it ever since I think first grade, and it's became a part of life now.
Yeah, you guys are busy with it because when we were trying to schedule this podcast, which is we're over a month since we did our turkey camp, and
Yeah.
you guys have been like nonstop with lacrosse. I even got to come watch the boys play lacrosse when they came over to the Idaho side of the state line, and it was a good time. I could tell you that both you guys are impressive young athletes, and it was a whole heck of a lot of fun. It was the first time I'd ever watched a lacrosse game, so that was really dang cool. How old are you guys?
I'm 12. He's 11.
12 and 11. So we got you guys out for your first turkey hunt. So let's just kind of talk about you guys showed up and, kind of a long drive out there. What did you guys think of Protector's Peak when you guys got out there?
When we got there, like we started going down this road and I saw this big trailer park and I'm like, there's no way we're staying in like this trailer park. Then we see the sign Protector's Peak and then we start driving up there and I see the cabin. I'm like, this is more like
Yeah. Right as we got there, like the first day, we already made a ton of friends, and yeah, like everybody was super nice, and it was overall great.
The food was great too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Nate, he can cook, huh?
so it is a very good cooking.
And then when we got there, we set all of our stuff down. And then after
Yes.
that, we went right out to the range, started practice shooting. And that was really good. It's kind of it's kind of hard for me, like going from ear pro to like not ear pro, but then you also get used to it. But yeah.
Yeah, so like after my first shot, I didn't do the best, but then I started getting the hang of it.
I just
Yeah.
shot wherever Tom told me to shot.
Yeah.
Well, both you guys ended up being great shots.
Yeah.
Peyton, what was it that you think kind of took you a minute to understand about shooting that shotgun?
Like I think like the kick, yeah.
The kick. You're like kind of nervous that it was going to kick a lot.
That and so like I was scared and just like I don't know. But
How
then
was it?
it was, but the kick wasn't bad at all. Like after my first shot, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is good."
Right. And just so everybody knows what they were shooting, we weren't too cruel with these kids. We didn't put like 12 gauge with 3.5-inch Magnum shells in there. We gave them my 28 gauge, my Mossberg SA28, which is semi-auto. So lighter caliber, and then the semi-auto action helps kind of absorb some of that recoil. And it still can be felt. You still want to hold it properly, but it's not so bad. It's not like a big 12 gauge turkey gun. So you guys ended up finding out that it wasn't such a bad kick, and then you guys took a few more shots, right? And
Yeah. My first shot was good, but then my second shot, like, I had it in a weird angle. So, the first shot, I had it tight to my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, it's not this bad. So I took my second shot, and I had it like a little gap from the stock in my shoulder, and I shot it, and it went so far back, and like, that hurt. And yeah.
yeah, when you don't hold it right, you feel it for sure. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you guys feel after you had a chance to practice shooting that shotgun?
Pretty good.
It got the anxiety out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it had a red dot on it. And do you think that What did you guys think of the red dot sight on there?
Well, but it helped me a lot.
Yeah, it helped.
Makes it a lot easier, huh? Did you
Mhm,
guys have a
yeah.
lot of shooting experience with your dad before you guys came out?
Yeah, we not really with shotguns,
Yeah.
with both like rifles and handguns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And Chris, what did you guys like? Did you guys kind of talk about firearm safety and being in the field and before you came out? Because one of the things that is cool about Idaho is we have the hunter passport program. So if you never had a hunting license in any state before in your life, you can actually do the hunter's passport, which is a very inexpensive, even for non-residents, hunting license. You just essentially have to agree to be with a licensed hunter as a mentor for that season. It's a one-time season type of thing, one season license, but it's a really good way to kind of enter people into hunting. And then it gave you guys an opportunity to do it before taking hunter's ed. So how did you prepare the boys, Chris?
Well, we've gone over the 4 firearm safety rules before, especially when we went up and shooting, pistols and rifles. But we had a couple hour drive down there, so I quizzed them several times and talked to them about what the firearm safety rules meant, and so they were able to recite them all by the time we got down there. So the biggest thing what I really liked throughout the weekend is they definitely had great muzzle awareness, and they also had great
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, one of the things I was impressed of when we were talking about it too was I never had to remind anybody to put a safety on. Whenever we stood up from a setup or after, won't spoil it. We'll let the boys talk about it more, but after shooting, whether it was at a target or not, or a live turkey, I never had to remind either one of you guys to put the safety on. You always remembered the safety. You guys were always asking and always making sure that you were very mindful of the shotgun. And both of you guys carried that shotgun around all over the mountains, and your dad and I didn't have to do it for you, and you did it safely. So that was really, really impressive. So, and I appreciated you guys not pointing guns at me. So,
Yeah.
or each other.
Yeah.
But well, awesome. So how did it go after the range? I can't remember exactly what we did. What did we do after the range?
Just chilled and
Got to know everyone.
Yeah,
when
got
we
to
went,
know.
went inside, had some lunch, got to know everyone, and then after that, we noticed all the calls and all the custom stuff, and we all just locked eyes on that, and that was a really cool experience to get all the free stuff.
Yeah. So we had all kinds of custom turkey calls that folks donated. Guy, sorry if I butcher your last name, Guy, if you listen to the podcast, but Guy Rubel, he donated a bunch of handmade turkey calls that he made, some really, really nice box calls. And then those, and I don't remember what they were called, I hadn't seen them before this, but the small mini kind of box calls where you hold the lid in between your that was a pretty neat call, and along with some really cool pot calls too, some a bunch of different fiction calls, and then James Harrison, he sent the owl hooters. You guys all got hooters, so yeah, that was
That's probably the one that we used most frequently.
Yeah.
Back at the lodge, like everyone was just hooting and hollering with those.
Yeah.
But it was also a really good way to learn.
yeah, practice. You got to practice, right?
Mhm.
So have you guys been driving mom nuts with those calls since you got home?
I think the
Kinda.
first day when we got home, we just kept hooting and hollering and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we
Nice.
started to die down.
Are you guys gonna practice those calls for next spring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Calling your own turkeys? Nice. I like it. So yeah, we did that. We had everybody showed up, and besides Peyton and Austin, we had 3 other boys there with their dads. You guys were the only brothers that showed up. And how was it hanging out with the other kids?
It was good. We went hunting. Well, the one hunting experience where we crossed paths, where we saw the big bull elk, and we started walking down the road, and we saw the one turkey that was posted up on the side by side, and then we saw our other buddies, and then we had to sit on a log and then just wait for them to shoot it. But then I was in clear sight to shoot. But then my dad told me not to shoot. But then we learned a big lesson that shell shots can go through bushes. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that was later in the first day, and we'll come back to that too, because that was kind of That was a little bit of my fault too for that not working out so good. Yeah. So after, let's get into the hunting part. So when the first day, we got up pretty early, right?
Yeah, it was like I
5?
felt like 3 a.m., but it was like 4.
Yeah, it was like 5.
Yeah, it was pretty early, still dark out. How was that for you guys getting up early?
That
It
felt
was
good.
fine. Yeah.
It felt scary at first, like driving in the dark all through the mountains, but
Yeah.
then we got used to it.
Yeah.
It was very, very beautiful up there.
Yeah, like when the sun came up, it was just beautiful.
It sure was. We scored with some pretty sunrises and sunsets for sure. Yeah. Um, what did you guys think about when we kind of got out of because we took a side by side to our spots and we got
Yeah.
out in the dark. How was it getting out in the dark and kind of walking off in the woods
It wasn't
in that early morning?
Definitely had to
wasn't bad.
stretch. Definitely had to stretch. Everything was cramping. We got out of the side by side, started to stretch, and then after that we picked up our guns,
Right.
and then we started walking to this one spot that Tommy showed us. It was a very, very open spot. I've
Surprisingly?
never heard like a tree creak so much in my life, and we just posted up, and the tree kept creaking, and I thought it was a woodpecker right on top of us, but then I learned it wasn't. It was just the tree creaking.
Yeah, a little bit of a breeze.
Yeah, it was windy a little bit. So that's probably why the tree was creaking. It just it kind of scared me a little bit because I kept thinking, because when my brother was posted up, I kept thinking like the woodpecker or a woodpecker was just kept pecking and stuff. I was gonna like eventually yell at it to be quiet and stuff. But then it was just the tree.
And Peyton, did we hear any turkeys while we were sitting there?
Like 5 minutes after we got out of the ATV, like you like called for turkeys, and then like a ton of them started gobbling. So we started following it, and when we found a resting spot, we sat down. I was like behind the log, but it wasn't that comfortable, so I moved over the log. I was sitting there for like 15 minutes. Then they flew down and came up over a hill. We thought it was just gonna fly off the cliff, but we didn't know that it was coming up. So I saw it and I was about to shoot immediately, but I just stayed relaxed and waited. And when I had a good shot, I shot it, and it was a beautiful tom.
Yeah, he was a great turkey, and that was pretty fun. You know, we had that's called the roost, right? We had a good roost set up. They were still in the tree, and you guys got a really fun, like traditional turkey hunting, at least for as far as the Northwest is concerned. Lots of gobbles in the tree. We had hens yelling at us, and yelping in the tree. And then when they flew down, we were all kind of like unsure because John, our buddy, had scouted that and he thought they were going to be roosted a little further away from that spot than where we found them. So we kind of almost accidentally walked right up to the tree. And so we sat down and we were kind of hoping maybe we were going to try to get the boys to double up if more than one Tom came up. But it just was, it was kind of a complicated little setup and open in front of us. And Austin yielded to Peyton and let him be up first. And Peyton, we had to sit there for a pretty long time holding that gun. More than once, you guys both had to sit there against a tree in a really uncomfortable position holding the shotgun up. And I kept telling you guys, don't move, try not to move. Peyton, how was that trying to hold still, holding that gun for so long?
After a little while, it wasn't that bad. So I just like, when I was waiting, I just rested it on my leg, and yeah, that was fine. And yeah.
I was posted up behind him, and when he shot the turkey, I picked up my gun, and I'm like, tell me when to shoot another one, because there was
like a ton of
three.
Like
I think there was
4 hens
three.
and 1 tom.
I think
2
there were
toms.
2 toms. Payne got 1 tom. I was gonna get the other one. But then
Yeah, they just all flew away.
it was too late because like I couldn't see through the hens which one was a tom. So then I just put my gun down, and
Yeah. No, that was great. And Peyton, that was tough too, because it got really exciting when they started coming, because we had to watch them come for a while. And they came from kind of a little ways away out of range, and we had to wait until they got in range for you to get a shot. there was quite a few turkeys coming, and they were coming like right straight towards us because we had the decoy out kind of in front of us off to our left, and they were walking, and you did a good job. And it just kind of, we, you and I talked about it and walked through it, and yeah, you did a good job, and you put a great shot on that turkey, and he didn't go anywhere. You got your first turkey. How was that? How did you feel when you after shooting that turkey? What was going through your
Oh,
mind?
I felt like so relaxed and so happy. I wanted to yell out, but I couldn't in case there were more turkeys around. So,
Yeah.
so I was super happy. Then we set it up and like took some pictures.
What were some things about the turkey that you really thought were cool that you didn't really notice until you got to see one up close and touch it like that?
The feathers for sure, and the long beard.
Yeah, they're cool, huh? And they're big,
Oh yeah,
especially yours. Yours was a big one.
yeah.
So, yeah, that happened really fast. And then we took our pictures and there was still turkeys gobbling, right?
Huh?
So what did we end up doing after that?
After that, I think we drove to a new spot, or like just walked to a new spot and just waited for Austin to get a turkey. So one was coming up, one was coming, and so Austin was like waiting for it to come, and I was with my dad, but then the turkey was close, and so I tried to get a better angle and I kind of moved, but I ended up scaring the turkey away, and sadly we didn't get it.
It was also when we were posting up, Payne and my dad were behind me. Tommy was telling me what to do and how to do it. I had my gun up for a pretty long time, and the turkey, so we thought it was coming from a different angle because the voice or the gobbles started to veer off a different way, but then it came back and we didn't really notice that, and it came up the right way we thought. And the gun, like, I had it up and Tommy told me to turn it off right now, and it was like jammed kind of. And I think my thumb kept slipping, so then by the time it started slipping, Peyton tried to move behind me, and then it just skirted off
Yeah.
into the trees. But I also had the gun on safety, so that was also kind of my fault too.
Yeah, and it was mine because I didn't remind you, right? And but yeah, I mean we had got Peyton's turkey, and then those other ones were still gobbling that had been with them. So we just went down the same mountain we were on and kind of walked. We dropped Peyton's turkey off at the side by side and walked down to a kind of a different angle and called from a different area. And ended up calling those turkeys back in. Yeah, it was tough because that turkey, he gobbled and told us he was coming, but then at the very end, probably because he just watched his buddy get shot, he didn't really gobble a whole heck of a lot, and he kind of snuck up on us. And we knew that might happen, but it was just hard to be prepared, and we were all excited and waiting, and had our first hunt jitters, and so kind of we all just made little mistakes, and that turkey got away to live another day. But that's okay
Yeah.
because that was still a pretty exciting experience, right, Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Chris, how did you feel about that morning? That was a big morning for you as a dad.
I thought it was great when we set up. We came almost to underneath that tree. Never turkey hunting before myself. It was interesting to see, hear them gobble. And actually, before that weekend, I had no idea that turkeys actually slept in trees. We have a ton of them in our neighborhood, and I had no idea that they fly up into trees and they stay up there till the morning for ass protection. When we watched them fly down, that was really cool. And then you kept gobbling, and they kept gobbling back, but they never came this way. And all of a sudden, when they came over that ridge, it was like super impressive because you're like, all right, now they're coming this way and they're only coming our way. And then when Peyton made the shot and it dropped, like that was like an awesome experience. And then I felt bad because Peyton got his relatively quickly. And then we set up on that other one, and it was, like you said, it snuck up on us and it surprised us. So, Peyton moved, I looked at him, and then Austin was struggling with the gun and the safety. And he didn't have, like, you didn't see the whole turkey. All you saw was the head peek up because he was kind of coming up a hill. So it was a very quick, like, see the head, didn't take the shot, and the turkey's like, oh, I'm out of here, and flew away. And I had no idea turkeys really flew that far either. So it was a huge learning experience for me when it came to just the dynamic of a turkey and what they do. So it just, that first morning, within the 2 hours, I learned, probably, half a book's worth of information about just turkey hunting.
Yeah, no kidding, man. And how was it for you, as dad when Peyton got his turkey?
It was a super proud moment. I mean, he was calm. He knew the mechanics of the shotgun, and he took a well aimed shot and made his shot and didn't miss. So it was a very proud dad moment. And then once it was done, and we took we took amazing pictures, which is we still have up, and I actually want to put on a couple canvases. And his fan should be almost dried. And I was looking up fan mounts because he wants to put it above his bed. Then now it was dad mode shifted gears. Once the photographs were done, we're like, all right, well, now that's done. We need to get Austin his.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we had that really easy kind of morning. We had our chance at another easy turkey, but then all four of us, we had what's commonly referred to as a high speed come apart. And we all just kind of came off the rails there and made some pretty basic mistakes, and myself included for sure. And we missed our opportunity at that second one, and we were pretty motivated because we're like, all right, well, the birds are wanting to play, and so we decided to change locations, and we hunted the rest of, we had 2 full days to hunt. And how did those next couple of days go, guys?
It went really great. Like just still hunting, but then for the last day, it was so much hiking. It was just phenomenally crazy how much we started to hike. And I didn't think we were going to hike that much. I thought it was just going to be ATV all around, but I didn't think we were going to hike that much. It was uphill, downhill, side to side, twisties, turnies, roads. Yeah.
And at one point, we heard like a couple gobbles, but sadly, the turkeys were on private property, so we couldn't shoot them.
Yeah, later that. Yeah. Yeah, that was later in the day, huh?
Yeah, that was very, very sad because we heard it, we started to gobble it, and then Tommy said to me and Peyton that is a very, very nice turkey. So then we started to plan, and then we called it from different sides, so it came to us, but then it kept backing out. And then we drove the ATV to a different spot and tried to see if we can get it from a different angle. And I called it the Death March because it's basically a mile, and it's like you just walking in, like it was like scorching sun, and we had to take almost all of our camo off. It was so hot. And then once we got to our spot, we called it. We didn't hear anything, and then we went to like this edge of a corner, and we called it, and there were like probably 7 hens and like 4 toms. It was a very, very large group of turkeys. And then we looked on our map and we realized that was all private property and we couldn't like hike down there. We could have, but we couldn't like shoot on their property and stuff. And then we realized we got to walk all the way back and try and find a new spot. And that was kind of disappointing for me because the sound of the turkey was very, very beautiful. But it was on private property, so that was disappointing, and especially in the scorching sun. That was hard.
So we were like just chilling in the ATV, just eating lunch, mind our business. Then a turkey comes flying over us. I think it was a tom.
It was a jig, but I was like, turkey, and then it like flew over.
It flew over the ATV, and we were so bummed, but it was hilarious at the same time.
But what was very, very surprising about that was when it flew over, there was like 0 hens. Now that could have been the tom only flew over, didn't see us, and probably got scared, so flew over, and then like the hens probably saw us and then like probably ran off a different way. Now that could have happened, or he just might have been all on his own, maybe trying to look for some ladies.
Yeah, no, that was pretty funny. And so that was after the death march, and we were taking a lunch break, and we were a little bit discouraged. I think our morale was a little low, but we were having lunch, and I had been calling from that spot, and I think that turkey had come down to the calls. He just didn't gobble because sometimes they do that. they know they're coming, they know where you're at, and they don't feel the need to gobble all the time. And so I think he came down expecting to see a hen, and then saw the four of us knuckleheads eating lunch in the side by side. And then, yeah, he took off flying down the hill towards that other group on the private property. But before we started that death march, we talked about it too, right? Because we knew it was going to take some time to get down there because, it was a ways down. And it was in the sun, and we knew there was going to be some risk involved, and that if it didn't work out, that was going to burn up some time to make that walk. And I kind of asked, I put it in Austin's court, right? I'd asked you, Austin, so what do you think? We talked about it, and you made a decision, right?
Yeah.
And said, let's risk it for the biscuit. And
Mhm.
sometimes those big moves work out, and sometimes they don't. But, that was a good hike, and we all got sweaty coming back up, and that was the hottest day, I think, that day. And then
Yeah,
I think
that was
if I remember,
probably 60, 65, 70, yeah.
And
Yeah.
like when we were walking down trail, strap of the shotgun
Oh,
just
yeah.
broke off.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was we were walking, and I just happened to walk up this hill and then walk down, and then all of a sudden I walked down, and then I took one big step, and then the strap of the shotgun broke off, and then I was pretty bummed about that. I was like, I didn't do anything, and I did not want to feel guilty about breaking Tommy's. So it dropped, and I'm like, I felt so bummed because I'm like, please don't tell me I broke the shotgun. And it was fine. I think the red dot might have been like a little bit messed up, maybe, but we found out it was fine, and then we fixed it. But then we had to we looked at it, and the screw, it chipped on the shotgun, and it was we had to be somewhat careful of it, and yeah.
Yeah, so it's what the boys are talking about is on that Mossberg, that SA-20 shotgun. It's kind of like a molded plasticky foregrip on that stock, and they had just mounted the sling swivel stud right into that plastic. And that plastic, as much as I love the gun and I love Mossberg as a company, we got to be honest, and that I'll tell the listeners that plastic is cheap. That shotgun is, actually not even manufactured. It's manufactured in Turkey, that particular model, but that plastic was cheap. And the metal threads of the sling swivel stud actually stripped the plastic out of the foregrip. So there's just no more threads for that to bite into. And I didn't know that was happening. And that's why that sling fell off. It had nothing to do with anything that Austin was doing. That was just a defective design from Mossberg on that. And I actually ended up talking to my buddy at Mossberg and learning that that's been a frequent problem with the SA models, that model of shotgun, that plastic forend, that swivel stud has been pulling out of them. He gave me he told me how to just fix it and affix the sling to the metal end cap on the like the magazine tube, which works, but it's not fun to have to do that. And for anybody that's interested, or well, maybe I don't want to buy an SA-28, don't worry about it. If you haven't bought an SA-28, you don't need to rush out and buy one because they're fixing that problem. And so that problem is going to be resolved. So once you, Chris, if you end up still wanting to buy a 28 gauge from Mossberg, by the time you come around to buying one, that problem will be resolved. But,
we're getting one for sure. They unfortunately, being in Washington, we can't get the nice one like you have, but they do have a non-pistol grip version I looked up, and so we will be buying one of those.
Yeah, yep, yeah. They're still awesome guns. I like it. I will, when I get around to it, fix that little sling issue on mine. I just put some glue in there and made it work for the rest of the season, and it's held, but not ideal for sure. And it's always a worry. But yeah, Mossberg was completely open about it and said, yeah, that's on us. That was a poor design, and they are working to fix it. And they said they would send me another foregrip, but they said it's just going to happen again. So there's really no point. That's why he kind of gave me a permanent fix by just drilling into the metal end cap on the magazine tube. But just a side note for the listeners, if you're like, well, crud, I don't want to buy that now. Well, they're fixing it, I promise. And it's still a really great gun, and you can fix that problem yourself if you end up with one of these early models. But for the what that gun's capable of doing, it's worth figuring that out and just be aware of the issue when you buy it. Hey, folks, just wanted to take a quick break from the show to talk about my most recent partnership with a good friend of mine, Jake Collier, and his company, One Outdoors. One Outdoors provides a trusted place to purchase outdoor experiences, gear, and services. They aim to positively impact people and the environment by donating 10% of all of their net profits to Restoration Outdoors, a nonprofit, which in turn invests in mental health and conservation. One Outdoors offers trips around the globe, whether you're interested in hunting in Africa or fishing in Alaska, Patagonia, and more. They can customize your outdoor experiences and beyond just hunting and fishing to whitewater rafting. You name it, folks. If you can dream it up in the outdoors, One Outdoors can help make that dream come true. And I'm proud to be partnering with them and consulting on trips and hunts. So if you're interested in booking a trip of a lifetime with One Outdoors, you can reach me or reach out to me at thomas@pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com. It's thomas@pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com, or you can contact me directly through Instagram, Facebook, you name it. But One Outdoors, folks, really excited to be working with these guys. So thank you very much for listening to the Pursuing Freedom Outdoors podcast, and we'll get back to the show. But yeah, so we hunted hard the rest of that day, and we didn't have a lot of luck. We heard a lot of gobbles. But, and that's when we had that set up. We left that spot, and then we started going back towards camp. I think we kind of said, let's go maybe take a midday break and go back to camp, because we kind of burned ourselves out on that hike. And but we were stopping and calling along the way, right?
Yeah.
And then we get kind of back towards camp, and not far from where John was hunting, and all of a sudden we start hearing gobbles and decide to go chase those birds, right? And so
we stopped the side by side, and we got out and started walking down the dirt road, and we look around this corner to see if there's any turkeys. And we see one dead straight in front of us, strutting and walking with his ladies. And Tommy yells to me and Peyton, there's like a turkey right there. So we had to set up really quick. We tried to look for a spot, like if it would be inside of like a little ditch. That wouldn't work. Or there was one more idea would be set up on the side by side. And so that's what happened. We had to set up on the side by side. And I had to wait there for a really long time, and it just didn't seem like it was showing up. And we set up the decoy right next to me, and Tommy starts looking down and starts calling, and it's like it just stopped all of a sudden and started I don't know if it was showing off its feathers or something. And when that happened, Tommy saw John walking down the trail that we had just walked down. And that's when we saw a lady elk. And we saw John, and we signaled to him that we're right here. So I get up off of my spot. We try to form a plan. So we happened to tell him that he can shoot it if he can. So we get up on this log and we start, and the turkey was I think it was 2 hens and 1 tom. And it was so it was probably, I'm guessing 7 yards, 8 yards away from me, my dad, and Peyton. So they were all ready, but then they didn't have the shot. So I think the tom and the 2 hens turned around. Or no, they wanted to come up the hill, but we didn't know where. And we saw 1 hen thought it saw us being super still, but then it didn't see us. And then this one other hen walked up probably 3 yards away from me, and my dad handed me the gun, and Tommy signaled to my dad, shoot when you have the shot. And the hen walked up, and it stopped, looked at me, and then it didn't see me, and it kept walking up, and then the tom went up there. And I didn't know, because I've never seen a tom with its feathers down. So all of a sudden I thought the tom went somewhere else, and it was just 3 hens. But it was actually the tom I was pointing at, and I thought it was a hen, so I didn't shoot. But then my dad also told me not to shoot. So then they started running up the hill, and we didn't have the shot, and then we lost them.
How close did they get to you guys?
I'm guessing 3 yards max.
Yeah.
They were so close that I could like almost reach my arm out and like touch one of them. It was so close.
How was that experience?
That was
That was
like
a very crazy experience.
it feels like being like in the Marines or in the army from them like the enemy just being like super close to you and like you just being in like underwater or something and that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting, and I'll take credit for botching that whole thing. You know, when I saw the turkeys on the road, they were just kind of strutting. There was two of them, two toms, and they were with a couple of hens, and they were just strutting in circles. And so we sat down, and there was nowhere to go. So we sat against the ATV because we knew if they just at least came around the corner, even if they saw us on the setting against the ATV, that they would be, you'd have a chance to shoot one before they really spooked. I wasn't super concerned that they would freak out at the ATV because ATVs and trucks are always driving around those roads. But, so they were gobbling and they would respond to my calls, but it didn't sound like they were moving. And for me, it was a lesson in patience. Like sometimes a lot of, and I tend to this is one of my biggest things is I like to move, as you guys know. I like to get up and move and try to get close and get in the turkey's zone and their bubble. But, with these guys, it was like they weren't moving. And so, instead I lost my patience and I wanted to change it up so that we could try to get this to happen. So my thought was that we would all go up the hill and get above them. And maybe that if we got a little closer and just above them, that would be what it would take to get those toms to move into us. And we started doing that. And I looked over up that trail where we saw that cow elk, and we ended up seeing it was Josh and Jake. And then they had Brody was their hunter. And so, I signaled to them and they were like, hey, you could tell that they were trying to tell us there was a turkey on the road. And we're like, yeah, we know. So I actually like snuck over to them and met them. And then we had a conversation. And you could all of a sudden it was like, oh, we could tell from when I moved over to where they were that the turkeys were actually coming down the road. And I was like, dang it, if we had just sat there, we probably would have gotten to shoot one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the end lesson was just be patient, wait a little bit longer. They were coming. They were just taking forever. So, I sat down with Brody and I'm like, all right, they're kind of, Austin and Peyton are kind of out of this. So maybe we can make Brody get an opportunity. So I tried working it for Brody and they were definitely coming, but they did see that the toms didn't care about the side-by-side. They could have cared less about the side-by-side, but it was the hen. That one hen, she saw the side-by-side and she wasn't spooked, but she was not happy just enough to where she changed direction and didn't want to walk by the side-by-side. And that's when she started walking up the hill to you, and she took the toms with her. And yeah, when I realized that was what was happening, that's when I just said, forget it. And I yelled for you guys to take the shot if you had the chance. And yeah, you guys just didn't have what you guys felt was a good shot. And that's just part of hunting, right? And we don't want to take shots we're not sure about and wound an animal that gets away. We never want to wound an animal and take unethical shots. So you guys did a really good job at holding your fire when you weren't sure.
Yeah.
It was frustrating to watch those turkeys walk away, huh?
Yeah, it was like like the hen had like a feeling. She was like she smelled something fishy was going on. And yeah,
Part of it was my fault. And again, lack of experience with turkey hunting and not knowing how birdshot reacts to brush, because the two hens came on the inside of a small brush, which was super close to us. And then the tom went on the other side of the brush, which you could clearly see through it. But I was concerned about deflection and the birdshot deflecting off the brush and possibly hitting a hen or not hitting the tom. So that's why I told Austin not to shoot. Knowing what I know now, had I known it then, I would have told him to shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And that's just one of those things too. And it's ammo dependent. So we were shooting, TSS, that tungsten super shot. And that tungsten shot is really heavy. And one of the reasons I like tungsten is because in that really brushy stuff that we kind of end up hunting in here in the Pacific Northwest, it can be really nice it punches through brush really well. John and I have tested it on a steel drum and watched it punch holes through steel. Like it's really incredible stuff. It's unfortunately ridiculously expensive. It's always been expensive, but it's really expensive now. So we're probably going to be, if I run out, well, at least for me, if I run out of my current supply and prices don't come down, I'll be finding a new shot. But yeah, like knowing what, I have the knowledge and experience to know what that shot's going to do through a little bit of brush, and just something that you guys didn't know. And it's all good. So we all kind of met up after that and talked to our buddies. And that was actually before the death march, though. That was actually not too long after Peyton shot his turkey. This was after our first two setups and then driving back. And we were going to I think we were going to go back to camp, grab some snacks or something like that, or maybe a little more breakfast. And then we were going to head back out. But yeah, I mean, that just is what it is, right? So we just kept on hunting after we said goodbye to our buddies, and we moved on. So, and that is hunting, right? As you guys learn that sometimes it comes easy and sometimes you have to work really hard for it. And sometimes no matter how hard you work, you still don't end up getting an animal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we finished out the day. We did the death march. And did we do anything else that afternoon after the death march and the turkey flew over us, or did we go? I can't remember if that was late enough in the day where we went back to camp for dinner.
I think we might have stayed out for a little bit, and then we went back for dinner. And then I think that was the second to last day, and then the last day was probably one of the hardest days because
No, did we hike the road? Didn't we hike the road by the Protector's Peak?
Oh yeah, that was that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went back to camp, and then we decided, well, let's just try to hunt, because one of the other groups had a run in with a bunch of turkeys right behind the lodge that morning.
Yeah, there was. I think it was the first night. The first night we were doing I forget what it was called. It was the get to know each other and talk about life. I can't remember what it was called, but when we were after that, we saw the turkeys starting to roost. They went up into their trees, and there was I think there were 3 toms. I think there were 2 toms.
Oh, that was Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first
Thursday night.
And the fellowship thing around the fire.
Yeah. We brought out, I forget, I think it was Nate's thermal camera. We used that to see where they were roosting, and that second to last day, we remembered that spot. So after getting all the snacks and stuff, we went back out, but we didn't take the side by side. We went the back way, walking, and we did a whole circle kind of, and we went up to a cross that Protector's Peak has back in the back country kind of, and we started at a area where Protector's Peak was right here, and then there was another road going the opposite, kind of the left side of the lodge. So we went that way, called, we didn't hear anything, and we made our way all the way up to the top, and we did hear something, and then we started walking a very, very steep hill, and then it was down from there, and we saw this one hen climbing up. After that, we didn't really hear anything. But what was very surprising is that when we were walking back to camp, we saw this deer that was on top of a rock that the only way to get up there was a ladder, and it had the rock had a bench on it, and we saw the deer up there, and we were like, how the heck did it get up there? But then we thought we figured it out how it got up there. There was I think there were 2 more rocks behind it to hike up there kind of, but we still didn't know really how it got up there.
Yeah, or it used the ladder.
Yeah, or it used the ladder, or it just had a moment, and God gave the deer powers to climb up a ladder and get on a rock.
So it could eat the really good grass up there. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny looking. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a tough hike. I mean, and just so folks can know too, back on that thermal imaging thing, we're not running around the woods, thermal imaging trees all night. I don't think that would be legal. I don't care, because we wouldn't normally do that. We were on private property, and we watched the birds fly into the roost. So we already knew they were there, and we just Nate thought it would be fun to bring out the thermals, not so we could go shoot them out of the tree, but just because it was fun to see the heat signature in the tree through the thermal. It was neat.
Well, to
never got
clarify,
to
we
camp
didn't we didn't really we didn't even break it out to look at the turkeys. We broke it out to look at all the deer that come into the
Yeah.
field
Yep.
night.
Yeah. And then you were able to see the
'Cause, yeah,
turkeys
the
in the
bird
tree.
we watched all the birds fly into the tree prior to the sun going down. It was after the fire and we had the fellowship and he broke it out to show the kids all the deer that come into the field at night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but
Mhm.
that first night of hunting when we made that climb up the mountain, that was a tough hike. I mean, we climbed a lot of elevation. There was really steep hills, and I kept looking back and asking you boys how you were doing, and you guys were keeping up really well. That was really tough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What were you guys thinking when we were doing that hike? And
We realized how hard it was going to be, and we took it, and we realized that like when you put your mind into like a safe spot and a calm spot, you could do so many things. So that's what I think me and Peyton did. We just put our minds into a calm spot and said we can do this, and we walked up there and we took it was hard, yes, but it was also a good experience. I think that day was really wet, so that made it even harder with like the sliding wet rocks and dirt. No, it was a little wet. It was a little wet.
A little bit.
But yeah, it was just a little bit wet. And once we got up there, we realized that like when you do that, you can basically do anything. And we went from there to the downhill and where we saw the deer and stuff.
yeah, I'm back to camp. Peyton, what did you think of the hike?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard, but I just like set my mind to it and I just powered through it. And when it was done, I feel like I could do anything.
Yeah, it's rewarding, right? And then the views from some of the spots that we hiked up to were really cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could see forever from up there.
Yeah.
What did you guys? So we went back down to camp after that and met up with the rest of our crew. And we learned that John and his team, and he had Matt and his son, Sean. And we learned that
Yeah.
Sean shot a Jake that morning off the roost, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we congratulated him and we had dinner. And I don't remember if we did anything super specific that night because a couple of the teams were kind of later getting in from hunting.
Yeah.
Well, it started to rain, I think, so we sat inside and kind of did a round table inside on the couches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Well, that
fellas.
was the next night, the next day when it started really raining.
But but we didn't have a fire Friday night. We
No,
sat
we didn't.
inside.
Yep. 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 So we sat inside and hung out and enjoyed just the fellowship. Did you guys like as much as you like the hunting? How did you guys like the just hanging out at the lodge times when we were hanging out at the lodge with everybody?
That was super fun.
That was a good time to get to know everyone and their backstory kind of for law enforcement and what they've been through.
Right. How about the other
'Cause-
boys?
Oh,
They were
they're
good. They were
nice.
nice.
Did you guys make some friends that you guys think you'll stay in touch with?
Yeah.
Who just called you the other day?
Sean.
Sean just called me the other day.
Oh, nice.
But I think we're at
Yeah.
You guys are busy.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, we're staying in touch with them.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So the next day we went out and the only way to describe that day is it was a tough day for anybody.
Oh yeah. That
Yeah.
was probably one of the hardest days of my life because the morning was pretty chill. We went out very early and we went to the same spot where Peyton shot his first turkey. So we sat there. We didn't go to the spot where all of us kind of made mistakes. We didn't go there. After that, we went to like a new spot. We've been there, but like we walked up the place we didn't go, and we heard turkeys gobbling, and then we didn't hear them for a while, and then we heard them that they were very very close to us, and so I set up, and not very for a long time. It started to rain, and it was pretty miserable out there, and but it wasn't downpouring, but it was kind of downpouring, and we figured out that they weren't going to us, and we went up a set up. So there were 3 spots that we set up at. First spot we heard them, but we figured out they weren't moving to us. Second spot, we sat there, and then we thought they were coming to us. They were super close to us, and then they didn't come. Third spot, they didn't come. That's probably when it started to downpour even more. And then we started walking up a hill, and we didn't hear them at all. And then when we got kind of to the top, we heard something and we looked and they were right there. So we were pretty disappointed about that because they were right in front of us and we didn't really realize it. And it was we tried to chase them. I said chase them. So we went back down the hill, and then Peyton he doesn't tell people like
If
when
I'm like when I'm passing my limits,
so Peyton was pretty much beyond past
Like-
his limits,
and I
he-
was super tired, super cold, and just
his gloves. So our gloves were super thin,
So
our
I
hands
yeah,
got
I almost
really
got
wet.
and
So Peyton doesn't really show his breaking point, but then eventually my dad figured it out, told Tommy that we have to take a break real quick. And then, so we got back down to the UTV and we drove back to camp. So that day was probably one of the most miserable days because of how cold and wet it was. And yeah.
Especially Peyton and Chris, when we set up on the first turkey, and that was after another kind of a death march, except for it wasn't hot, but we did
Yeah.
walk 'cause we heard gobbles way down below us. So we walked way down there, and tried to see if we can get close to them. And then they just never answered us again. So we started walking back up and we got into that bird that did gobble, and he sounded like he was excited. But Austin, you and I had a great spot because we were kind of set up under a tree, and we had
Yeah.
taken several breaks because it was raining off and on all morning, where all of us would dive under some trees with our jackets on and wait for the rain to stop, have a snack. And that was pretty fun. But, sometimes it's kind of nice just to take little breaks and sit under a tree and watch the rain fall. But when we were set up on the turkey, Austin and I were staying pretty dry under our tree. But Peyton and Chris, that's not what happened for you guys, huh?
yeah.
You guys got soaked.
We got pretty soaked. And
I got drenched because all of the rain was just falling on me, and yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as miserable as it was definitely a proud dad moment because Peyton pushed to his breaking point and past his breaking point and never quit. It was up to me to see that he was past his breaking point and to say, hey, all right, he's past it. We need to stop. Because he would have, if you would have asked him, he would have never told you. He would have just pushed on and been miserable. So it was a proud dad moment to see how mentally and physically tough the boys were.
But yeah, and I mean, for folks listening too, we're not talking about like just little walks. I mean, this is North Idaho. We got big mountains, so these kids are walking up and down these mountains. And we were the last one we walked up that day, at least that morning. That was a steep hill. I mean, and we hustled up that mountain because we got in the after that setup where you guys got soaked. We went and we're like, well, let's just call and we'll work our way back to camp. And then all of a sudden we get a gobble right up on a ridge, and we made a big hustle up a really steep hill, and that was tough. And then we kept getting rained on more, and it was cold and we were wet. And then, those turkeys, that's one of those ones where I don't even know if they were going to ever come to a setup anyways, because one of the problems we were dealing with is the hens. They were so henned up, and it was getting really hard that day to pull away any turkeys from their hens. But we tried to follow, we tried to get in different directions. And then we decided to make one more attempt to maybe get around this like knob and get in front of them. And unfortunately they had stopped gobbling, and we ended up running into the whole group in the thick brush. We kind of ran head to head with each other. Yeah. And it just is what it is. I mean, this another busted setup, but that's kind of like, Chris, I asked you, hey man, like this is what we could do, but we were going to have to climb like another 400 feet. And it was raining and everything was wet and we were wet. And that's when you told me that Peyton was needing a break. And I mean, any person would have appreciated a break in that moment. We were pushing so hard, and I think I was trying really, really hard to get another turkey for you guys. And so I was pretty laser focused on the hunt. And it was really good that your dad was paying attention and that we could take that break. And Peyton, I'm exceptionally proud of how tough you were during that. That was not an easy morning, but we went back to camp and we hung out, and then it just downpoured after we got back to camp. I mean, we were sitting in the lodge. It was raining like crazy. Everybody was back. So we had lunch, we hung out, and we had some great time. We had a like a 2-hour long devotional, and we all, we talked about God and we talked about life, and had a really good time. And then right at the end of the evening, the clouds broke and the sun came out, and it was spectacularly beautiful evening, right? And so we had told Peyton that, hey man, if you want to just relax, you got your turkey, no shame, take a break, relax. Austin wanted to go back out and hunt. And Peyton, how did you feel? Because you ended up, originally you were like, yeah, I'm going to stay here and where you guys go, but you changed your mind, huh?
Yeah, I changed my mind because like I just wanted to come and like be a part of the group. Like I want to help see, like if Austin got turkey, I wanted to see it and not miss out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. And we went out and we heard a few distant gobbles that night, but that was a really pretty night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mostly just the views. Basically, we tried to get to a turkey that night, but we didn't have any luck. But it was mostly also the views stole the show, basically, and it was very, very beautiful that night. Got a lot of good videotapes on that night.
How much other wildlife during those 2 days? How many deer and elk do you think we saw?
Total
30 elk.
Well, in total, probably 45. And I've never seen elk in my life.
And
We saw
like
a ton.
Yeah.
when we were leaving from the we just saw like at least 15 elk just like grouped up.
I got a pretty good video when we like first pulled out of the dirt road. We started driving down, and I'm like, I told Peyton and my dad, are those elk right there? And we both looked, and I zoomed in on my camera and like, yeah, those are elk. And there was at least probably 25 elk, all in a big view.
Yeah, we saw so many elk. It was unbelievable. And then Chris, you were like the whole time, you're like, man, how come we can't see elk like this when we're actually out elk hunting?
It was impressive. I mean, we saw a couple bull on the ridge. We saw cows. We watched them, just how they moved across the mountain. It was interesting because, every time I went elk hunting, I've never seen them out there other than like the day before the season opened. We saw like a group of 8 cow, but never a bull out there. And you can see the bull moving around and hearing them bugle and cow call. It was awesome. And just walking across the ridge and just knowing how they react to hunters and what they do. Like had it been elk season, a rifle, like, not knowing how they would react. Now I know that like if you're 300 yards on a ridge, they'll just sit there and stare at you, which you can set up and, get a well-aimed shot. But, just the different patterns they do and moving across the ridges is really, really cool. Very, very awesome to watch.
And then that rainy day, we got really close to a cow elk. Remember, we followed. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
or no, that was the first day. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got probably 20 yards from that cow elk. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. We were just coming down that little ridge.
We were coming down Little Ridge, and I spotted that elk. I'm like, there's an elk right there. That thing got pretty close to us. We like locked eyes with it, and then it started to walk away. Yeah.
And you can actually smell that, you get that musty odor or stuff like that. You know you're in where they're at.
Yeah, you guys got nature. God put on a nature show for us that weekend. I mean, we saw a lot of wildlife, a lot of deer, a lot of elk everywhere we went, every time we went out. And it was, and I mean, we had turkey encounters and we got one, but, and we hunted hard. And on Austin, you ended up not going home with a turkey. And one of these days we'll get that made up to you. I promise. Even if it has to be next season, but you'll be up to bat and we'll get you your turkey. But, I think you handled not getting a turkey at camp really well. And I've bragged about that, that I was proud of you. And cause I know it was disappointing and it's really easy to sulk and be disappointed and upset, but you did a good job just being happy for your brother and being happy for the other kid that got a couple turkeys. So
Yeah.
good work on that. So
Well, and he elected not to go out on Sunday, and had he done it, he probably would have got one. If we got one with another kid. So
yeah,
it was a choice, but and we thought we'd have more time once we left there to go, and we realized we didn't. But they're going to go to Hunter's Ed this summer. They'll get their hunter safety card, and we'll be more well equipped to go turkey hunting with just you next.
yep. And we're definitely going to do it. So you
Cool.
guys are already in my youth season calendar for next year, and we'll definitely have fun. But overall, I mean, the experience, what are some of the top things? We'll wrap this up here because it's getting late for you and me. But Peyton, what are some of the highlights for you? What are some of the biggest things that you really enjoyed and will take away from that?
Just like getting my turkey and like just hanging out with you guys, and yeah. It was a very fun experience, and I realized that there's a ton of hiking and hunting, and but it's also but
Do you think you would do it all over again?
oh yeah,
Nice. So you're officially a hunter?
huh?
Nice. What about you, Austin?
Probably the views. The views probably stole the show for me. It was the views I mean, I've never seen, only on like pictures that my grandpa brings home. Like it's probably, but just seeing it up in person, like the last day, I think, or the second to last day, I think Saturday, we went out with Jake. Or yeah, I think it was Jake. We got out, we didn't like hear a single thing, but we walked up this one ridge that it was so beautiful, like just seeing the fog move through the valley and the mountains. And it was so beautiful. But that one thing when we were just sitting up there and I was sitting up on that stump, we heard that one like guy slap like that 13 rounds with like his AR, I think. That spooked me because I don't hear that in Washington. But in Idaho, you guys probably hear that like all the time. So I don't hear that a lot of times. So that spooked me. And I told Nate that I thought John was like in trouble, and John was perfectly fine. It was just some dude slapping 13 rounds violently, kind of, probably just like shooting probably his new AR, or I don't know. But yeah, like I said, the views probably stole the show, and it was so magnificently crazy good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Chris, what do you got, man, for like some of the highlights, things you took away from that?
I would say the mental toughness that the boys displayed was very impressive. They've never been pushed to that point before. You get pushed to that point in lacrosse, but when you're in the wilderness with a lot of unknowns, they showed a huge amount of mental toughness. Huge shout out to Protectors Peak for providing this. Huge shout out to you and everyone else that provide or allowed this to happen. It was a once in a lifetime experience that you can't really you can't put a price tag on. You can't put it's something you'll never forget. Overall, it was an excellent experience for the boys' very first time hunting. I mean, it's like the bar was set very high, so hopefully we can still have a good experience next year. And just so you guys know, turkey hunting's not like that every year. But with the success and the experience and the staying in the beautiful lodge and all the everything that came out with Nate and the food and the wonderful gifts that you guys got, it's something like that doesn't happen every year. So it's something you have to cherish and something you appreciate. And thanks to you, Tom, for making it all work, because without you, we wouldn't have been able to experience that.
The honor was all mine. And, I love doing these camps. I really enjoy taking youth hunters out in the spring. It's a perfect way to introduce kids to hunting. And I think it's really special here because we get to hunt turkeys in the same place that we have elk and deer. And so you get the full Western hunt experience when you come out and you do these turkey hunts. And typically we get a lot of action, and you guys got a lot of action with the turkeys. And, we heard lots of gobbles and we saw lots of turkeys, and we had some celebrations and some heartaches. And I think the fact that you guys recognize that physical challenge, when it's really hard, is actually good for you. It's good for your mental health, your spiritual health, obviously, your physical health. But I would echo your dad. I was super impressed with you guys. All the kids that came out to the camp were tough. You guys, all five of you were tough kids, great attitudes, great hikes. I mean, this was just an absolute highlight of my experience taking people hunting. It was a highlight of my season for sure. I don't think that I think my favorite turkey trophy grip and grin photo is Peyton and his turkey with that beautiful background and the morning sun shining on those mountains way out behind us. That was a really, really beautiful morning, a true gift from God. And I enjoyed the heck out of having you guys there. And I think that it's the kind of thing that we build lifelong friendships with. And, this won't be the last time that we go turkey hunting. Hopefully, maybe we'll do other kinds of hunting together. Definitely excited. Hopefully your dad brings you guys out to go fishing on the river with me this summer. That would be a lot of fun too, to get you guys fishing, get you guys schooled up on the fly rods and catching big trout on fly rods on the river this summer. That would be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to highlight is, faith is a huge thing for pursuing Freedom Outdoors. And then obviously Protectors Peak, we're a faith-based nonprofit ministry. We're a 501c3 ministry. And so part of our programming, even when we did this hunt camp, which is the first time that Protectors Peak's ever done one, as we told you guys there, John and I have done camps for like 6-7 years now. But part of the programming is there's a faith aspect, right, where we talk about Jesus, we talk about God. And you guys both, you guys did a really good job participating in those devotionals. But Austin, I just wanted to point out, you have an amazing faith, and you were really, I told you that I felt like you were wise beyond your years, and you were just absolutely excited and on fire to talk about Jesus with everybody there. And I'm really proud of you for that. And is there anything about your faith that you want to share with the audience and the listeners right now?
Always believe in God. Put your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and never give up that faith. Always keep it inside of you. Always keep it in your heart. Always keep it in the Lord Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Amen, man. David's been coming up a lot in conversations with folks that I've had lately, and we think about David and his heart, right? David was in the Bible called a man after God's own heart. And you talk about David and his heart, right? And David had a heart of courage, and he was bold. He was a bold warrior and lived a bold life for God. And the whole reason that he had courage and that boldness is because he always knew that God was on his side. And that's something that you definitely believe in, and I believe is going to carry you very, very far in life. So good work. I think that's a great way to end it. Any closing thoughts, Peyton? You got anything else, buddy?
I think so.
Awesome. Austin, anything else you want to say?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Chris?
Thanks again, Tommy, for an excellent experience. You've been a world of firsts for the boys. First time trout fishing, and now first time turkey hunting. Hopefully it'll be a first time another hunting. And I definitely think you might have found a fellow partner in podcasting in Austin.
I think so. Austin's a natural. Yeah, I love it. No, you guys are great. Absolutely love you. Super glad that you guys are friends. And I'd even call you family. So until the next adventure, folks, just remember, please like, subscribe, follow the podcast. I've said it a million times. I don't get paid. Don't really take a lot of money for the shows. The sponsors kind of help me out a little bit with the cost of the show, but I don't make anything, and it really makes the show and the effort that I have to put into it to do this worth it. And it helps out a lot for folks to follow and subscribe. So please do that. Hit the subscribe button, comment, ask questions. But yeah, Austin, Peyton, Chris, I enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys staying up late with me tonight and doing the podcast. We'll get you out of here. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
See you, Tommy.
See ya. Before we get started, I want to thank our first partner, Response Ready Medical. Response Ready Medical, bringing our customers the best quality training and equipment for the worst case scenario. Response Ready Medical's vision is to be the leading provider of emergency preparedness solutions across the United States, empowering communities, organizations, and individuals to respond confidently and preserve life during critical moments. Offering same-day certification, all response-ready medical classes are instructed by nationally registered and state-licensed firefighter, paramedics, law enforcement officers, and hospital staff. Classes currently being offered by Response Ready Medical include CPR and AED, CPR, AED, and first aid, emergency trauma care, child and babysitting safety, CABS, backcountry medicine, and wilderness first aid. Your premium partner in emergency preparedness, Response Ready Medical. Thanks again, and if this resonates with you, I want to welcome you to the tribe and encourage you to share this podcast with your friends. Hit subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Pursuing Freedom Outdoors. And if you or someone you know has a great story about life or the wilderness, I want to share it. You can shoot me a message on Instagram or email me with all inquiries and questions at thomas@pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com. That's Thomas, THOMAS, at pursuingfreedomoutdoors.com. Until next time, get out there, get after it, and pursue freedom in the outdoors.